I feel like I can stop tricking myself now that we have a chance of making the play-in, and then also tricking myself that that's a good thing. That's something as a fan that I should be wanting to root for, and not just ultimately rooting for what we're watching, which is complete catastrophe that might actually result in some potentially better odds at getting a player that maybe does fix a lot of what's going on and does make me smile again. Because right now, I like what Michael said in the comment. I think that would be a good point to start with. And
Absolutely.
Vooch said they're done. That if this was 30 games ago, maybe this would be a valid question of whether they could turn it around or not. But at this point, the guy that's soon to be an unrestricted free agent in about 15 games just said, we're done.
Yeah.
Which tells you what the feeling in the locker room is. And I don't know what is the cause of that feeling, because Zach has been playing great. So maybe Zach's walking around with his head in the clouds, oblivious to the fact that maybe his teammates aren't fond of his style. But Zach was also in the media throwing jabs at DeMar and Vooch, saying we're a team that doesn't shoot enough threes. It's hard to win games, even if you're extremely efficient, if you're only taking 2-pointers. Pretty much pointing out that outside of him and Patrick Williams, there's nobody on this team that shoots threes.
Basic math, 3 is more than 2. You could shoot 66% from 2-point, but if you're outshot by 12 to 15 3-pointers a night, you're probably going to lose.
Exactly.
And it sucks. I mean, that's not the basketball we grew up on, but that's what it is today, right?
That is what it is today. And unfortunately, I think you only have 3 guys that really fit that mold, and that's Zach, Kobe, and Pat. And Pat, his volume doesn't even speak to that, because Pat's lack of volume is part of our problem.
Yeah, and there's a couple times where I was calling for him to, especially in Friday night's loss. When he wasn't in closing the game there, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, we need to come back. You need your best 3-point shooter. And he is at this point. I've talked shit on Pat. I'll admit it right here. But if you want to win, why aren't you is he getting cooked so bad on the other end that it doesn't make sense? Is he not? Is he detrimental to you with your success? What is it? If
that's the case, I feel that it's not even really Pat's fault, because the reason that Pat gets cooked is because he has to compensate for Zach and DeMar's deficiencies on the defensive end while being tasked with generally the best player on the opposing team if they're a bigger forward, or if they're a good wing. It's his responsibility then. So he has to make up for our one-way players' mistakes defensively, and then he's generally tasked with the toughest assignment, which also confuses me why he's not in at the end of games. If you see your all-in-all best versatility guy who can actually shoot the 3, why is he not playing excessive minutes? Especially at this point of the season, where your season's all but done. And Pat is one of the few guys that is going to be guaranteed to come back next season, that you should be investing minutes and opportunity into. So I saw a tweet earlier that said Billy Donovan is the only one that's comfortable right now. and as much as I don't know that there is a better option, I hate when it comes to coaches and front office decisions to sit here and pretend like I know what the answer there is when I've never spoken with any of these people. I've never played for any of these people. When it comes to players, obviously we can use our eyes and look at the stats and, put those together and come up with conclusions. But when it comes to coaches and front office people, I'm not going to pretend to know what works. The GM that got rings with LeBron isn't a great GM in my eyes. That was LeBron. So that kind of stuff, I don't like to pretend that I know. So to say firing Billy is the right answer, especially when Jerry refuses to pay the tax, but he's consistently paying bad coaches to go away. I'd like to see Billy stay, but Billy got a little bit of the rebuild, the back end of it, didn't really help with the evaluation of Lowry.
Well, Billy's problem is that he's a fucking player's coach. Now that's number one. So that's what they're trying to do, right? So Vooch and DeMar, they want those guys to have a good time here, to be successful here, all of that, of course, because you want to be successful in general, but they want to draw in more. Billy kind of lets his players dictate what is going to happen. That's why he worked well with fucking Russ. That's why when he first came in, that free-flowing offense and how Lonzo likes to push things and stuff like that, and guys knowing how to play together and get in the right spots at the same time while it worked out for 35 games. But that's the thing. But where I'm mad at Billy this year, and I've been I've been a guy who stuck up for Billy a ton. Where I'm mad this year is I got guys in the locker room like Vooch throwing a complete doubt out there. You got guys like Zach kind of throwing shots out there on why things aren't working. I see Billy not adapting to the new style of play because
Goran Dragic, who pretty much waved himself off the roster,
right,
to join the Milwaukee Bucks,
and if
calling out the coach.
If Vooch feels that way, I know Dragic did. I think that we've already touched on that on one of the episodes. I know Dragic felt some sort of way. If Vooch feels that way too, there's other people in that locker room that feel the same way, and
Drummond's
we might not be in the trenches like Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley, but this is not working. They don't want. If Vooch comes back, unless they pay him an ass load of money, I'd be shocked.
What Vooch just did, and I don't know if Vooch realizes that he did this, is he probably cost himself a lot of money making that comment.
It's possible for sure. I mean,
what team is paying Nikola Vucevic $20 million outside of the team that likely gave up 2 top 10 picks to acquire him?